Hello, this is WoollyFae, and today we're going to be covering the lace stitch on the Butterfly Tapestry. This is not the Butterfly Tapestry. This is an old swatch that I've pulled out of a bag and cut the fringe off of, but I'm going to be using it today to show you how to add that lace stitch to the pattern. Now, if you're here and you didn't purchase the pattern, then, welcome. You're welcome, and I hope you'll at least subscribe to the channel and follow. You can also find the pattern if you haven't seen it on Ravelry under WoollyFae store. So let's go ahead and just get started here on that stitch. We're going to pull our yarn through. We're adding our yarn, and the way I do it is I pull that through and then I chain one, okay, and then I go back through again. You notice I've got my finger on there. All right, I go back through the same stitch again. I pull through again, and now I complete a single crochet, and that's how I add my new yarn. Now you may have a different way of doing it, just to each his own, I suppose, but that's, to me, is the best way. So from there, we're going to begin the lace pattern, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. Okay, so we just chained 5. Now we're only going to count over 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 4th stitch, we're going to do a single crochet stitch. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is because when you're working in the round and on the lace stitch on the butterfly tapestry, this is on top of the double-sided border that we've already created. So we're working in the round the whole time, and having those 2 straight can create a sort of tension and make this lace kind of bow or bend or curl. So we're trying to minimize that as best we can, and of course I'll show you after we're done how to help it along as well. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead again and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4th stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. Again, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and put it in, and there you have a single crochet. Okay, again, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to pause this video, and when I reach the other side, then I'll pick it back up and show you where you go from there. Okay, so one of the things that I feel like is important to say here is that when you get to the end, because when you do your double-sided border, you're going to be working into the edges. As anyone who's done a lot of crocheting knows that your edges are not always clearly defined. So when you put stitches in there, sometimes you have a different count than, say, when someone else puts theirs in. It's just the nature of working into a side because your evenly spaced stitches are usually on the top and bottom. So it is impossible for me to determine how many stitches you're going to have total on the whole round. So what I think is best is that you go ahead, because I don't think it's going to make any difference. It works out pretty well. You're just going to go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, and then 4. All right. So in that 4th stitch on the side, wherever that is, because you'll have your border on, so they will be defined. But I, of course, won't have built your double-sided border or worked the stitches into the side. So there's no possible way for me to have told you exactly where those were going to land. It could vary by a couple of stitches on with each individual. So just go ahead and take your 5 stitches around to the 4th stitch on the side. Okay, just go ahead and do it there. There's no way for me to say where that's going to land. So if you have 1 stitch left or 2 stitches left, it doesn't matter. Just consistently do 5 chains and 4 stitches. 5 chains and 4 stitches. Okay, so I finished my last chain 5, and remember that we want to be a little more generous with this because we're working the round and we don't want it to pull and curl in. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 5, and then we're going to do a slip stitch into the next chain space. Okay. Now we're going to keep following the same sequence. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. And again, we're being generous. Usually you would chain 1. Okay, we're being generous. And we're going to put 8 double crochet into this space. All right. So put 8 double crochets into the space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to get my yarn over here. 7, 8. Okay, going to loosen up some yarn here to work with. Okay, so then the next step is that we're going to I'm going to chain 2. Normally you just chain 1, and then you're going to slip stitch into this. All right, now I'm going to chain 4. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not 4, but 5. And we're going to slip stitch into the next one as well. So just to review, we chained 5 and we slip stitched here. we chained 2, we did 8. We chained 2, and we slip stitched in the next chain space. We chained 5, okay? So it's 5 chains, slip stitch, 2 chains, 8 double crochet, 2 chains, slip stitch, 5 chains, slip stitch. So the next in sequence would be 8 double crochets, okay? So we are going to chain 2, all right, and then do 8 double crochet into this next chain space. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2 and go into the next chain space and slip stitch. Okay, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next chain space. And then, of course, we do 2 chains. Now 8 double crochet into this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2 into the next chain space. We do a slip stitch. Okay, now I'm going to keep going past this bend and just around the corner, on the round here, and so that you can see, you know, how I do that. It's the same thing, doesn't change, but we're just going to make sure that you can see how that I do that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then we're just going. Now, do remember I just clipped off these. I pulled this out of a bag. So normally you'd have a border there on the tapestry crochet, but this is just to show you how to do the stitch. So we're just going to ignore that. Okay, so we have got a slip stitch into the next chain space. All right, now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and just as before, move over to the next chain space and do 8 double crochets. So you're just going to continue like that all the way around. Okay, so we've gone all the way around, and just so you can get a good look at it, this is what it looks like, okay, all the way around. I'm just doing a circle, and as you can see, because we've been generous with adding our extra chains, we don't have any bowing or curling in it, and again, I'll show you what I do with that when I'm finished anyway, but when we go to the next level, you're going to have one round meeting the other. Now, before we chained 5, we are going to do that one more time again. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're just going to chain into this like that. Let's do a slip stitch, I'm sorry, into this, that. Okay, so that brings that corner together. So from here on out, it's going to work a little differently, and that's where we begin. So just remember that when you ended this, you went in chain 5, we brought that corner together kind of at a little bit of a peak. So that's why it does not matter if you just start out doing chain 5 and you just stay consistent, because we're going to create this chain 5 into that when we end and join the 2 rounds, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2. And normally we just chain 1, but we're just going to be really generous with this, all right? And we will be skipping this here and moving straight into that, and we're going to do a double crochet. So we're working into this chain space and then chaining 2, and then we're going to skip this, and we're just going to go straight into this one, okay? And normally what you would do is you just go ahead and chain 1 and then move straight into it. But we want to be sure on our round that we're giving ourselves plenty of room. So we're going to now double crochet into that space before our 8, all right? Then we're going to chain 1, all right? And we're going to move, and I've got a hair here, I'll move out of the way, okay? And then we're going to move into this, we're going to skip this one and move into this one with a double crochet stitch. Okay, then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip 1, and we're going to double crochet into the one after. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip 1, and we're going to double crochet into the one after. So we're skipping 1, double crocheting into 1, and then chaining 1 after each double crochet, okay? So skip 1, double crochet 1, okay? And now we are going to skip the next stitch. So we skip the one before and we skip the one after. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do a slip stitch into that next chain space. Okay, we're going to skip this one and do a slip stitch into the next chain space. We're going to chain 2 again, and then we're going to double crochet into that space, and then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to do it all over again. Double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next. Okay. Chain 1, and now we're going to chain 2 on this one. We're going to go right over into here and slip stitch. Okay. I'm going to chain 2 again and go into here and do a double crochet. I'm going to skip 1 and double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. And I'm going to finish up here by showing you what that will look like. And we're just going to continue. We've chained 1, skipped 1, double crochet into the next. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this row for you, and then we're going to stop. We're going to skip 1, and we're going to double crochet into the next. Okay. Now we want to actually chain 2, move over to here, do a slip stitch, right? And then we're going to chain 2, and again begin to double crochet with our lace. Okay, so let's just lay this out here for you. Okay, and this is what it looks like. All right, isn't that pretty? All right. So of course we haven't done this side yet. We would work our way around, but it does not bow at all by adding those extra chain stitches. Now what we want to do here is we want to, when you're done and finished with your blanket, what you want to do is to spray your lace down. You don't want to with polyester yarn, and that's what I've used on the tutorial. Now you can use, of course, any type of yarn that you want. You can use wool or acrylic or whatever that you want to use. But with the polyester yarn, as each fiber, of course, has its own care instructions, we don't want to apply heat to this, so you can't put it in a hot dryer. You can't iron it. So I've sprayed this down to show you when you wash it, you can wash it in cold water, and you can put it in a cool dryer, but you want to take it out before it's dry. So you want to lay it out while it's still slightly damp. You take it out of the dryer, low heat or cool, and lay it out while it's still slightly damp. And if you just press these down like this and let them dry that way, they'll be perfectly straight. And as you can see, that's a little different, say, from over here where they still kind of have a wrinkled look. Okay, so when you go to wash yours, just take it out before it's completely dry and make sure it's damp, or when you finish your project, you can just spray that down and just let it dry like that. Alrighty. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. And also have a blog, WordPress blog, and I'll post those links for you in one at Wix as well, which usually contains the same information. Don't forget to head over to Ravelry, check out the WoollyFae store, and we'll see you the next time.